This is one of the most popular morphs in cornsnakes right now. It is called a Palmetto cornsnake. And one of the things that I've done with my collection of palmettos is I've tried to get some that are very gene divergent. So I've tried to get some that are very outcrossed. There have been a variety of different problems with this morph, one of which is the bug eyes, large eyes that seem to look very unnatural, well, that are very unnatural, and some other issues that might be related to the inbreeding. Unfortunately, that's what happens with a lot of morphs that are very valuable, is people want to get their money back out of them. They paid a lot for them. They want to get their money back out of them, so they end up breeding too much in line and end up creating some issues. Now, there's been a strong argument and a case for the fact that it's just the nature of leucistic traits, that you can't really outcross enough to get rid of that bug eye. That's just part of what pops out with leucistic. And maybe we'll find out if that's true or not, because I've gone to great lengths to make sure that these are not going to be inbred animals. So this one is the first palmetto I got, and she was produced from an early outcrossed group of palmettos. So somebody got their hands on a palmetto early in the process. Actually, it was Craig Trumbauer, as I remember, and Craig outcrossed it with a wild-caught. So immediately early on in this line, you have the gene diverging with these guys. And so recently, from Jerry Salmon, I was able to get some from this same line, so the outcrossed line. I was able to get a male and a female. And then I also got from him one that was from this line that was just bred with a wild caught. So babies from a wild caught and one of the palmettos from this outcross line. So they were 100% het, obviously, het palmettos that were 50% wild caught genes. And so what my breeding project is I'm taking this female and the other palmetto female from this line and breeding them to the male that's 50% wild. And then taking my male from this line and breeding it with two females that are het, that are 50% wild. So they should be pretty outcrossed, and hopefully we will see few or no genetic problems with these guys. But they are beautiful animals, and obviously none of them that I have any of those genetic issues. And I hope that's because they're outcrossed and not because I just picked the ones that don't have bug eyes. So we'll see. It's hard to breed. I've struggled with creating, developing, establishing certain morphs in some snakes, and you just end up running into some genetic problems, and that's part of the process of trying to establish a strong line for a genetic morph. But these guys are beautiful. And by the way, I don't know if you've noticed yet, but this girl is very gravid. So that bodes well for some outcross palmettos here in a few months. So it looks like both of my palmetto females that are bred to the half wild caught het, both of those are gravid, and I believe the other two are gravid as well, the two female hets that were bred to the outcrossed palmetto. I believe those are also gravid. They're a little bit smaller. This girl's by far my biggest because I had her for 2 or 3 years before I even got the others. So she's quite a bit bigger, and she produced a few babies last year, but she was bred with a different male that didn't have palmetto. So here's one of my het palmettos. This girl is bred from a palmetto to a wild-caught. And so palmetto male to a wild-caught female. So she is obviously het palmetto, but also half of her genes come from wild stock. So hopefully that will help outcross. I'm looking at her now and she's clearly gravid. Maybe you can compare. She's significantly smaller than the other one, but certainly big enough that she will lay a nice clutch of eggs and be no worse the wear for it. But these guys are beautiful just in and of themselves. Really nice red-orange pattern. I'm looking forward to seeing what they produce. Should be some healthy hets and some healthy palmettos. Here's a pretty popular cornsnake morph right now. Not that easy to find yet. Still pretty rare in collections. But it's an amazing red Zeppelin cornsnake. So what's fascinating about these guys, one is that this is Okeetee Hunt Club locale. So these guys were caught in Okeetee. They ended up popping out of a pair of normal looking Okeetee Hunt Club animals. So they're pure locality. That's what's significant about them. They're a pure locality snake that is also a morph, albino. So it's a simple albino, but it's a locality albino. So if I were to breed this Red Zeppelin, is the trade name. If I were to breed this Red Zeppelin Amel albino to another albino corn snake that I just have in my collection, I would get albino babies. None of them would be red Zeps because red Zeppelins are locality specific. If, for example, I were to breed this to a locality specific normal, a normal corn snake from the Okeetee Hunt Club area, then I would end up with babies that were het for red Zep. Red Zep is an albino locality Okeetee corn snake. So I'm very concerned about people getting these and going, oh, it's so beautiful, I'm going to get it and breed it to another albino, and then I will have red Zep babies. You will not. Red Zeps must be locality albinos. So it must be true that it's a true locality. Can't get a corn snake that's been bred with or collected from a different area. And it needs to be an albino to be what this morph is, which is red Zep. Now, all of that to say, that's pretty cool to have a locality albino, but the thing that has really made these take off is how great they look, which you've already noticed. Look how beautiful the animal is. So, red Zep, beautiful Okeetee Hunt Club albino locality snake. Yeah, these are beautiful animals. A handful of guys, a few guys worked hard to make this locale come to the market, and I and the rest of us corn snake keepers are forever grateful. This is one of my favorite looking corn snake morphs. It is an Ultramel, and it is Okeetee patterned and colors, and it is Ultramel genetics, which means it is heterozygous for Ultra and heterozygous for Amel, which is albino. And those two het genes sit on the same allele. I'm no biologist, I'm giving you the simple Reader's Digest version, as I understand it. And so because normally either of those hets alone would have no effect on the way it looks, because they're sitting on the same allele, they create a look that is not quite, kind of falls in between the other two looks. Anyway, it's super beautiful. The snakes are wonderful. So I'm a giant fan of Ultramels. It ends up making the colors look super bright and interesting. It's just a really beautiful snake. This girl is actually entered into the shed cycle, or she would be even brighter than she is now. But she's good enough for you to get the idea that they're awesome. So one of my favorite looks of all the morphs in corn snakes. A pretty popular morph right now in corn snakes is the Scaleless corn snake. It is definitely attention grabbing. Usually Scaleless make the colors pop a bit. They look quite a bit different. They are scaleless generally for the most part along the back, but usually they have scales on their belly, which is fortunate for them to move around and protect their belly a bit. They also have scales over their eyes, which is great for protection. And also, if you look carefully, there's usually scales around the face at various places, which look a little bit like snake warts. In my opinion, and lots of people love to disagree with me on this, scaleless corn snakes are not very attractive when you look at them up close. I just find them to look, maybe deformed is the right word. They look derpy, which some people like, I guess. They look more like eels to me. But if you move a little bit away and look at them this kind of distance, their colors are really cool, and the variety of different morphs in Scaleless really have a lot of neat looks. So they have been pretty popular because usually when you buy one, there's a picture of it far away. So I've got a few of these guys. They're kind of fun to work with. My experience is you need to give them a little more humidity for them to thrive. Maybe a humid hide box so that they can shed when they need to. They're a little less tolerant to drier air, in my experience, than their scaled counterparts. Also, as I understand it, these are not purebred corns. Any scaleless corn snake had originated from, I believe it's Texas rat that had the scaleless. And so there is at least some portion in your snake that is Texas rat. And in my opinion, as I've dealt with some scaleless corn snakes, it seems like there was a lot of Texas rat in them, both in their look with their long elongated noses and faces, and also in their bad attitude. So again, this is one of those morphs that would be helpful if people would create more hets bred to pure corn snakes. so that we could more and more make this a scaleless cornsnake genetically than a scaleless hybrid. So I look when I'm picking some out for my collection to breed with, I look for some that definitely have more cornsnake-like visual traits. And I'm actually breeding mine. Hopefully this year I'm breeding this male to a pure cornsnake, and going to create some hets from these guys. So, scaleless cornsnake, interesting. By the way, a great crowd pleaser. If you ever do educational programs and things with kids or do shows, you need a scaleless snake of some sort because people lose their mind. It's so unique. So for years, I have tried to find a very pink corn snake. You know, some snakes just are way pinker than others. And I thought it would be fun to have pink corn snakes for my granddaughter to check out. And when I was at the Daytona show this last summer, I went over to Lee Abbott's table and found these incredibly pink babies. These are from a coral line. This is basically a ghost with coral mixed in. His name is Ken, and I doubt that it's going to pick up how incredibly pink they are, but maybe. But they are really, really pretty snakes. Maybe if we do it this way. And this is a snow coral female here, and her name is Barbie. So I got Ken and Barbie, a pair of pink snakes that hopefully will produce more pink snakes for me in the future. But they're ridiculously pink, fluorescent-y pink in person, and they're really interesting to look at. So Lee Abbott makes some incredible corn snakes, as you obviously know if you are at all interested in breeding corn snakes. Picked this snake up from Lee Abbott at Daytona last year, Daytona Beach Reptile Show. This is Shatter corn snake, and it's also Tessera, so you can see the line running down its back, but pretty unique animals. One of the things I like about these guys is this is one of the few corn snake morphs where when you show someone a picture of them, they don't immediately know it's a corn snake. Let's see if we can show. Part of it has to do with just their clean head. Corn snakes generally have a somewhat consistent pattern on heads. But Shatter corn snake. But very nice animal, looks pretty unique. So hopefully I've got a Shatter male and a Shatter Tessera female. Hope to be producing some babies in the next couple of years. So I believe this guy is diffused albino with pied trait cornsnake. And I just wanted to show him because he's just so ridiculously bright orange. He carries a very extreme line of pied, although he is not extreme pied. He comes from an extreme line, which I'm hoping will come through when he breeds. But regardless of that trait, he is just such a beautiful, one of those snakes that when you show someone, they're like, is that real? Is that really the color that snake is? Super bright, beautiful orange animal. Corn snakes come in all shapes and sizes.